A Milwaukee man said he tried to stop a fight, but in the process became a victim.
He spent 14 days in the hospital, and the man who could have killed him has spent weeks on the run. Jeremy Ross with tonight's Wisconsin's Most Wanted.
Things were really out of hand.
Conflict intersected with chaos. The corner of 12th near Atkinson.
The next thing I know, I'm shot.
By the time investigators were on the scene March 19th,
I just lost all air.
a Milwaukee man was fighting for his life. The man accused of pulling the trigger, 20-year-old Devon Adams, was gone.
Everything went black to me.
When Darrell Wynn woke up,
I was shot once in the chest.
he was in the hospital. His scars from surgery and the bullet remain.
They told me it was seconds. I was minutes away from death.
We're real lucky that we're not talking about a homicide here.
James Thomas, investigator for the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, tells us it all started.
Because of a purse.
Wynn is still coming to grips
I didn't even know that the purse existed at first.
with the handbag, triggering the shooting. He says his cousin left her purse at a home in this neighborhood. A group, including Adams, went looking for it.
They brought this guy along with them as a reinforcer.
And that's when things went downhill real fast.
Thomas says fists started to fly when the purse wasn't found.
Next thing I know, this guy pulls a gun out like 3 or 4 times. He's waving the gun around.
It's not clear if the purse was ever found. What is clear, U.S. Marshals are intent on finding Adams.
You know, the sooner we can get him off the streets, the better.
An alleged gunman leaving his mark on a victim. Violence carried out because of a carryall.
I can't wait till they catch him.
One of Wisconsin's most wanted is behind bars tonight. Devon Adams is accused of trying to kill a man near 12th and Atkinson back in March. He's been on the run ever since, until now. Adams was found in Gary, Indiana, and brought back to the Milwaukee County Jail.
It's gonna be the corner house.
After gearing up back in May, U.S. Marshals made some house calls.
Police! Who is it?
They searched and found fugitives, as well as some unexpected surprises, including one fugitive cold case.
Oh my Lord.
Barbara Bruno should be living out her golden years at the age of 69, but instead, she's living on the run.
She has quite a history that dates back quite a long time.
On November 2nd, 1974, investigators were called to a home off of 24th Place and Hope Avenue.
It started with a landlord observing what he believed to be blood in the back stairwell.
Police would find more blood and eventually locate the body of James Hampton in a storage area. He was shot and killed by a then 32-year-old Bruno.
Miss Bruno was already on probation and parole in the early 70s.
Deputy U.S. Marshal Jeremy Lesh says even before the murder, Bruno was convicted of burglary and arson. Court documents show the fugitive warned another woman she would burn her house down. The threat became reality. 3 separate fires were set, causing $3,000 damage to the building. But if you fast forward to 1992,
She got out of prison.
not long after, Bruno would cut out on her parole.
16 years she's had a warrant. 16 years she's most likely been hiding in plain sight.
This past summer, law enforcement's search for the senior led them to a quiet north side neighborhood.
We believe she is in the Milwaukee area.
But they failed to find their fugitive. Now marshals hope with your help, justice can be served even more than a decade later.
A fugitive cold case is solved, and your tips made the difference. U.S. Marshals say 69-year-old Barbara Bruno was on the run for the last 16 years. Law enforcement says she's responsible for several crimes, including the murder of James Hampton back in 1974. She got out of prison in 1992, but eventually cut out of her parole. She dropped off law enforcement's radar until she appeared on Wisconsin's Most Wanted. Within hours of our story airing, U.S. Marshals were flooded with tips, and eventually Bruno surrendered. She's currently in the Milwaukee County Jail.
He is not called a scientist, but he had some of the tools of the trade.
Specimen jars, petri dishes.
Back in 2005, law enforcement says 64-year-old Dennis Hughes was trying to use those containers to manufacture something malicious.
The biological agent ricin.
That's a toxin originating from castor beans. When broken down and refined, it can prove deadly.
Ricin is right up there with anthrax or mustard gas.
If inhaled, it poisons its victims on a cellular level, meaning death could occur from the inside out.
How he was going to use that biological agent at this point to us is unknown.
Deputy U.S. Marshal Jeremy Lesh says Hughes' home in Vilas County turned out to be a makeshift laboratory, and other finds followed.
They also came up with approximately 100 different firearms that were, in a sense, sealed inside the walls of his home.
Why would someone need 100 firearms?
Well, Mr. Hughes is a self-described militia member or survivalist.
Marshals say the discovery began with a traffic stop and a car search. What law enforcement found underneath a blanket inside led to more searches and Hughes' prosecution.
They found bomb-making materials, books about bomb making. Nitrate, fertilizer, sulfur are the precursors for a biological agent.
He served his time and on May 25th was supposed to report to a halfway house in Milwaukee.
He never arrived.
Lesh believes Hughes could be somewhere in rural northern Wisconsin or in the southeastern part of the state.
He also has family here in Waukesha, and then he has additional family in Arizona.
A man tied to a sinister kind of science. A fugitive. Marshals want bottled up.